Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian, Noel. We are obviously not in our beautiful downtown studio. Instead, we are in Clovis, New Mexico. We had to make the trip. The first time we've ever left our comfortable studio downtown, and it's to see a couple of the studs in the state of New Mexico. And this week, we're talking to Jeston Webskowski. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you know it takes a special athlete to get us to drive 3 hours, right? We came all the way.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot to get to, but what I want to start with is we'll kind of work backwards a little bit. I want to talk about what is, in my opinion, the craziest thing in the state of New Mexico right now, which is the recruiting process, or the lack thereof in your recruiting process. And so let's start there. What's on the table right now?
As of right now, it's really just Eastern, as I'm verbally committed right now. I'm talking to Nimi, it talks to me a lot, as well as Tarleton State. Yes, sir.
And it just baffles the mind to me, especially when I watch Mountain West football, which, you know, I mean, everyone has their opinion on Mountain West football, but we had a guest a couple of weeks ago on this show, Jordan Bird, and I'm seeing the similarities, you know, in your skill set, in your speed, the track and field background, the same as Jordan, right? I mean, what is your level of discouragement right now? I mean, would you say there is some, or is that kind of, we're just all discouraged for you? Where's your head at right now?
I wouldn't say I'm discouraged. I'm just kind of taking it as it's just going to push me to go harder. So at the end of the day, I feel like it'll just make me the best version of me, because I'll have to work to where I want to be.
Now, obviously, the COVID affects everyone in different ways, and maybe that is having an effect. It seems like people were kind of a little slow to the Webskowski party last year, but now they're all here. Now you're kind of established. Now we all know where you're at. But now the time where you could be showing it on the field, obviously, COVID has kind of cost us that. So talk about that a little bit.
COVID did hurt me a lot. A lot of people were waiting on my senior film to see if I was consistent enough, and I feel like that's what really did hurt me. But I also feel like I did have enough film from my junior year to prove myself. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, they just got to pop in that game. You know, when the last time we were here. You know, I mean, if you're looking for a running back or an announcer, you just call either of us. I think we both did an okay job that game, right?
Right.
I mean, so let's finish about the recruiting piece a little bit, though. I mean, when did it start? When did you first hear from somebody?
Right after the Cleveland game, I heard from Wayland Baptist. They had texted me and said that they're looking at me after that I had a really good game and they wanted to see what else I could do. And that's kind of what started it all. After that, I got offered by Eastern, New Mexico Highlands, and it just kind of went uphill from there.
Do you have an opinion, and maybe, I mean, if you don't, or you don't want to share that, certainly you're right, but do you have an opinion on what bothers me really, especially in the previous era, was Bob Davies' refusal to, cover the whole state, saturate the state, if you will. So, I mean, how do you take that? The fact that, that the two in-state schools haven't kicked the tires. They're not as interested as they need to be. And yeah, that's my opinion, but they need to be interested. I mean, do you care about that? Is that a battle you let coach fight, or what's your mindset on that?
It was kind of disappointing, just because I felt like that would have been really cool to play and stay at a Division I school, FBS. So I felt like that would have been a great opportunity for me, but at the same time, I got to control what I can control. Right. So.
And what about, I mean, this is a little bit of a tangent, but what about, we saw at the end of the season, UNM kind of, make a little run there. The fact that Danny Gonzalez obviously is trying to turn the page from that other era. I mean, do kids want to stay in state now? They see UNM turning the corner?
I think a lot of kids do. They have a lot of New Mexico commits. So we have Jaden Phillips, Luke Weissong, kids like that. Some great players that have really helped their program. So let's talk about your how you stay ready, man, because that's kind of when you became on my radar was a couple of years ago. Social media, man, you were putting in the work during the off season. So talk about that. Just talk about as far as how
everything you did. I mean,
in between seasons, stuff like that. I always try to attack it. It's just because football really is a game of the weight room. Whenever two bodies collide, that's what's gonna win. So I feel like it just drives me to be better each and every time that I'm in there. So this year I really try to focus, because going into my junior season, I was only 175 pounds, somewhere around there. Now I'm sitting at 200, 205 in between there. I just try to kill it each and every day. I've been working out 5 days a week, eating better, everything like that. So I feel like that's really what helped me a lot as well.
When did that process kind of begin? I mean, when did you realize like, yeah, I got to put the work in the off season? Because I think your social media, that started 2 years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
So I mean, when did that really, when did you take it to a whole nother level in between seasons?
I remember it's actually kind of bad on my end, but I remember we went to New Mexico State to play a 7-on-7 game, and this running back, he was from Arizona. We were playing a team from Arizona, and he kind of shoulder checked me big, and he kind of flexed up on me. And I was like, okay, yeah, I need to get away.
And it hasn't happened since,
No,
right?
sir.
So, lastly, since we're talking about that whole workout thing, I mean, talk about the culture here at Clovis. I mean, I don't know if it kind of organically happened that year, but it seemed like that's the year everyone's checking you guys out on social media, and they're like, man, they really are the beast from the East. Like, pretty special group that you've been a part of here. Talk about that.
It's amazing, honestly. We went from literally competing. Me and Chance used to compete every year. We used to fight in the championships. We used to dislike each other so much just because literally football and stuff. But we've always known that we were friends at the end of the day, that we would come together. And we had a great group of friends. All of us were friends on the team, and we kind of just built up a good relationship. And we knew in high school that it'd be something special to be a part of, and we all took it really serious. Everyone stepped up, and we put in work at practice, and it showed on the field.
Now, we're going to talk about this in the next segment a little bit, we'll backtrack, but I mean, were you kind of always destined to be out there beyond these walls? Because we'll talk about it in a minute, but you live right down the street from here, and then you had a pretty famous neighbor too, so talk about that.
It's pretty cool. Hank Basket his parents live right next door to me, and I met him when I was probably 11 years old. He had came over we had like a housewarming party. He had came over, and ever since then we've had a real good relationship. So it's pretty cool. It's real nice.
Part of that, pretty unique to Clovis, right? You're living with the stadium right outside your yard. I mean, that's the difference really in what we're used to in Albuquerque, right? But the feel, I mean, I've had the privilege to do a game here, so I know what game night's like. I mean, I know how much the parking sucks when you don't get here early.
Right.
I know that personally, but it's an experience to have a Friday night game here, isn't it?
It's crazy. I used to always be excited for Friday nights. I'd come out here, wear my Little League jersey under the lights, sit here and watch the games, watch guys like Micah Gray, Kamal Cass, people like that play. So I've always wanted to be under these lights, so it's always drove me to be the best I could be.
You know, when not even Coach Fullerton can give me a good parking spot, you know that Friday Night Lights is a big deal here. We'll take our first time out and come right back with Jeston Webskowski.
Some of those yards right there, right up the middle, and he's looking at an easy run, one man to beats him for the touchdown. 45-yard touchdown by Ortiz.
First down and goal from the 10. Play action and a fade to the end zone. And well, there he is.
Block punt. Let's see if the Mustangs can scoop and score. Scoop and score the touchdown with Western New Mexico. Number 20, CJ Bionis. Bauer the play fake. Throwing to Colson in the end zone.
Touchdown.
Touchdown.
The hot man, and why not? Looking hot, looking into the end zone, and his second touchdown already.
Pulse headed in, and that's 2-0. And I think it's Johnson, and it is. So third down and goal, and it's a keeper for Smith. He broke a tackle, and he's into the end.
Holy fumble. Hit by Calhoun. Ball is fumbled.
Head is one, look out, Garcia's loose. Garcia to goal for the lead, 1-0.
play action, rolling out to the right. Now he's going to run with it and break some tackles. Lowers his head into the end zone. What a run by Isaiah Chavez. Wow.
All right, so we're back with Jeston Webskowski. Let's take it way back now. We kind of started with the recruiting piece, but let's take it way back. Tell us about your athletic background. Where did it start?
Yes, sir. I actually was born in Arizona, and I moved down here whenever I was about 3 or 4 years old. And once I moved down here, my older brother was playing football, so I just kind of always wanted to be like him, play football, the other sports like that. So whenever I got into kindergarten, I started playing with the first and second graders, and I just fell in love with it. And that's
I was picking my nose in kindergarten. That's the difference that we're talking about here. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I kind of just fell in love with it. I never played flag football or anything like that. I always played the tackle. So, and then I started to play baseball, basketball, football, and soccer as well. So that's kind of where it all started.
Something that you were drawn to early? Was there a sport you had as a favorite right away in kindergarten there, or were you? Or tell us about your skill level in each one. Which one was your best? Which one is you just out there? You're uncoordinated. You're tripping. Which one was the worst?
Probably basketball, honestly. Yeah, I was never really a basketball player until like 8th grade or something like that. So I actually, my favorite sport was baseball. When I was growing up, it was baseball, and then I had stopped playing soccer just because they kind of all interfered. And then I started playing football. I took it really serious in about 4th or 5th grade. That's whenever I really took it serious. I started playing running back, and that's just kind of when I fell in love with it.
Track and field also, right? Let's talk about
sir.
that. How has that helped your game?
It's helped a lot. I started tracking in 7th grade because that's what usually whenever we start down here, we don't have any outside teams or anything like that. So that's whenever I really started to see a pickup in my speed, and I just kind of fell in love with it from there. I didn't run it my freshman year, but I picked it back up my sophomore year and junior year as well.
And that's another thing pretty unique to Clovis, right? You guys are pretty much all doing a bunch of sports,
yes,
right?
Sir.
More so than, we have that obviously in Albuquerque, but everyone plays everything in Clovis, right? And you guys grow up together. Talk about that.
It's pretty cool. We all kind of play the same sports, stuff like that. I feel like that's what really grows our bond on the field. So that we're all playing, we're used to each other, basketball, football, track, everything like that. So I feel like that's what really grows our friendship and just kind of makes us a family over here.
Now, you said you played some baseball. You're a baseball fan.
Yes, sir. Or I really don't watch it that much, but I would like to go to some baseball games, stuff like that.
So I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, okay? And there's this thing they do in Atlanta. I don't know if you've ever heard about it or seen it on TV. Well, they have this guy. His name is the Blur, right? And so what he does during the 7th inning stretch is he will start on the left field line and race a fan on the warning track. Right, but the fan gets to start all the way in right field, right? And so he has to make up the entire distance, and they race to the other warning track. I think we should do that. I think we should do that. So, but you got to give me that same head start. So you got to start in like left field. So left field would be the goal line,
right? And
I would start in right field, which would say we'll call it the 30. So we're good for that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So
like
we're gonna go outside and do that right now.
He's not going to catch me. We'll be right back with Jeston Webskowski. Where's the trainer? I need a trainer and a sandwich. They haven't gone back to more. Racknell still in there. Throwing on the post pattern. Caught. Down. What a catch at the 25-yard line. That's just a great catch by number 1, Drake Owen.
Single running back. And West does get the ball, and he has wide open lane. Let's see if he can make it. He punches it in. Did they get it? Yes, touchdown, Ben West. Franco hands the ball off. Nice hold for a nice run. He breaks one, breaks two, touchdown.
Second down. Smith. Plenty of time. A little pump fake. Fires in. He's going for Connor O'Toole to the end zone.
Fowler the play fake, throws it out to Colson on the screen. Colson breaks a tackle. 20, he might be going to the house. Touchdown Mustangs.
Third down and 16. Redford gonna throw it, throws it out. The receiver slipped. The ball is picked, and back to the north side we go. And this could go all the way back for a touchdown and into the end zone. Set far side for Bell. She couldn't put it away. Sharp over the block. Salas. Ray. Hit over by Cheshire. Sharp again through the block. We're going to set Bell on the far side. Gonzalez Sanchez digs it out. Jones will push it to Sharp. That's been her spot, but they're scrambling and still alive. Now it's going to come over. Salas gets it there. Jones. Gonzalez Sanchez. Sharp will have another swing. Just barely able to get it back over. Great defense for Pius. They'll try Wallace on the other side. Yes!
Play fake. Throws. Oh, what a catch by Reggie Colson. Boy, he got whacked and still came down with it.
Handoff goes right side. Breaking some tackles and more. Off to the races. Still on his feet into the end zone. What a...
Middle of the field. One of the most impressive things you will ever see.
Here's a quick slant, and look at the speed by Altier. Can anybody catch him? A foot race. Altier. What an answer.
All right, we're finishing up here with Jeston Webskowski. Let's talk about last season, since that's the last really season that we can focus on, and we'll get to the game in a minute, but let's talk about the beginning of the season. Did you know what you guys had going into the season? What was Coach Fullerton telling the group preseason? You know, those intense workouts, the 2 days, before the lights get bright, before we start talking about you guys. What's Coach Fullerton telling you guys preseason?
It's always kind of been a thing for us. They always tell us it's not what the fans will see what you put on the field, but really it's all the work behind it. So I feel like that's something that we really ride behind. We always want to put in as much work as we can whenever the fans are empty, or whenever the stands are empty, sorry about that. And it kind of shows whenever we play on Friday nights.
Did you realize how special of a group you guys had? Did he realize how special of a group you guys had?
I don't think that I realized just as soon, but I knew that he knew, just because of how hard he would push us every day. He wouldn't let any of us skip a rep, anything like that. So I feel like he's always known that we had a real special group, and that's why he pushes so hard to be the best that we can.
So what are some preseason goals that Coach Fullerton sets for the team? And then what are some preseason goals maybe that you set for yourself?
Actually, at the end of our sophomore year, they handed out these papers, and it was your personal goals, what your goal was for the team, stuff like that. And they kind of just went about them and just kept them to themselves. They really didn't give us a response on them. But in probably about the middle of the season, they had brought them up and said, how true did he stay to that goal? And I feel like that's what really helped us, just bringing that up and keeping us level-headed, everything like that.
Yeah. So take us to the beginning of the season. How did things start?
It was crazy. I'm I'm not sure. I hadn't played running back for a year because I played ever since I was a little kid, and I didn't play my sophomore year. I played free safety. So it was kind of, I was really nervous to play. I hadn't played running back for a year. Wasn't sure how I'd perform and everything, but it all worked out.
So then the City Slickers from Albuquerque come to town for the Los Lunas game, right?
Yes, sir.
And I mean, you guys just smacked them down in the second half. Like, I'm on the sideline, Adam's doing the game upstairs. So I was in a unique position downstairs. And I remember I was telling on the car ride home, I said, by the third quarter, they just didn't want any more. Like, you guys had imposed your will. Talk about that a little bit. And that's a quality team on the other side, but it was pretty clear that they were no mas by the second half.
Exactly, yes, sir. The whole entire week, we were getting pushed to the max. Coach Hadley, he was telling us, he was like, you're going to come in here and get embarrassed by that team, what division they're in, that they're going to come in here and they're going to put up a fight. So I feel like that's what really drove us that week. We didn't prepare like we were playing a lower ranked team or anything like that. We prepared like we were playing a team that's just as good as us, you know. So I feel like that's what really drove us. We went in there and didn't think of them any less than us. We played our game.
Let me ask you this: when you're physically imposing your will on a team like that, is that something that you can feel on the field as a participant, or is that just something that we kind of notice?
It feels great. I feel like it kind of just boosts your confidence up, and everyone's feeling good. We're all in a good mood. We're all hyped up. So I feel like it just kind of keeps it going, just keeps the train going.
Did you take the trip to Lubbock? Talk about that.
It was crazy going down to Lubbock. We really like playing those Texas teams. It kind of gets us ready before we go to districts and things like that. We played some real good teams up there. We had beat Monterey down here. I remember they walked in. Dudes were huge, big old dudes. We were just watching them. We were like, damn, we're about to play these kids. And we ended up playing our game, and we blew them out of the water. We beat them by like 20-something points or something like that. Right. And then we went down to Coronado, and it was a real good game. It was about the third quarter. It got called for lightning. I feel like we could have got them in the fourth. We lost by a touchdown that game. So that was kind of rough, but.
So at that point, you know, you go on the road, you lose, and, you know, some people start saying, okay, look, here's a loss. But people that know the game, and a lot of us were saying, wait a minute, these Lubbock teams are really good. Yes, like, let's not forget about Clovis, just because at that point you guys were pretty much out of town and out of mind for about a month. It seemed like you didn't have a home game, right? So people are kind of like, okay, Clovis on the back burner now. But I mean, obviously you guys knew what you're getting into there. And how did those games make you guys better?
I feel like not only physically but mentally it made us a lot better, just because we didn't let their size or their rank over there, or just because they're from Texas, we didn't let that affect us. We just went up there and played our game, and we had a chance to beat them. So I feel like that really helped us out, just because whenever we get back down here to New Mexico, we know that we could compete with the best. So
we get into the end of the season. Obviously, you guys have back-to-back games against La Cueva to end the regular season and then to start. That's always tough. Talk about that.
Yes, sir. La Cueva was a really good team. Whenever we had got the number 2 seed, we knew that we were going to play La Cueva again, and we knew that we had to play even better than what we did in district, because that was a crazy game. We had won in like the last 5 seconds of the game. So we knew that we couldn't let it get that close. We had to prepare. We got a bye week our first week, so we really trained for them. Got 2 weeks to work on them. So.
And then let's talk about the game. In my opinion, I mean, I've broadcast a lot of games. I've watched a lot of games. It's the best high school football game I've ever seen. That was the game against Cleveland. It's a shame that wasn't a title game. It should have been, but it was obviously a semifinal. Let's talk about pregame a little bit. I think we parked in Fort Sumner and walked over here, because that seemed like that's how big of a crowd there was. Talk about the atmosphere. I mean, can you guys already feel it building that day at school?
It was crazy. We had actually, the day before the game, we had went to every middle school, elementary school, and the town was hyped up. There was all kinds of hype around the game. There was posters on businesses around town, stuff like that. So it was a crazy environment. We definitely felt that the town was behind us. It was freezing that night, below freezing probably, and people were standing around the field, filled up the stands. It was crazy. That was an amazing game.
Yeah, I mean, I've really never seen anything like that. And I covered a game in Artesia. That was the closest thing probably to see all the orange and stuff. But I mean, there's extra media in the press box. Everything's full. There was a Lobo game that night that my friend went to. There's I think 17 people at University Stadium, and then your house is packed. I mean, it was the game. Pre-game, anything special as far as pre-game talk from coach, or just go about your business? Tell us about that.
It was just kind of the same thing as what got us there. So it was just prepare like we've been preparing, go out there and play, don't let the fans affect you. It's just, we got to go in and do what we do and come out with the victory.
It's still got to be pretty special that you walk through those doors and it's there. It's everybody. I mean, that's had to be the biggest crowd you guys have had that year. Talk about that.
I was extremely nervous that game. I always kind of get nervous before a game just because, especially a big game like that, just because it's for a title. You know, we're about to go to the state championship, stuff like that. It was a real big game. It was crazy. It was a great atmosphere, but.
All right, let's talk about the game itself. Like, you guys just start trading punches. We'll talk not only on the team versus the team, but then you and Dorian just going back and forth too. That was wild. Talk about that.
I knew that it was going to kind of be a showdown between me and him, as well as between Malik and Trey. So I kind of knew that I had to go in there and do what I could do the best as I possibly could, just because he was going to do it on that side of the field. So I was just kind of went in there level-headed and humble, really, just so I could perform the best that I could.
You know, and then, I mean, when something that special is happening and you guys are just trading blows, touchdowns at that point, like, are you guys doing any talking at all to each other on the field? Like, did you realize what was going on, how special of a performance that was?
Actually, before that game, me and Dorian had never talked before. We didn't say a word to each other after the game, and I remember right after the game, he came up to me and talked, and he told me, he was like, "You're the real deal, bro." And ever since then, we've been real close friends. He would text me about his recruiting process, stuff like that, how it's going, stuff like that. So,
when you're locked into a matchup like that, I remember during a commercial break telling my partner that one punt could be the difference in the game. Does that ever go through your mind as a player, or is that just something we notice and coaches probably notice? Or are you just so locked in? Or tell me about that.
I feel that at the same time as y'all feel that, but I feel like, hold on, let me try to rephrase that. All right, sorry about that.
I would think that that's something probably that's not in a player's mind. It couldn't be, right? Like,
I always think of it like that, but as well as I could have done this. You know, like there's other plays that we have missed out on just as much as that punt at the same time.
Right. What about post game? Like, I mean, did you guys realize how what you had just gone through? Was there any thought like, man, that should have been the state title game? Like, clearly, in my opinion, those were the two best teams playing the best game of the year, but it was a semi, and one of those teams had to lose, and it was you guys.
Yes, sir. It was heartbreaking, honestly, especially because just how close it was. It was really just a defensive game, in my opinion, just because it was whoever got the stop in the second half. So it was real heartbreaking just because I wanted to get that state championship for the seniors. But
yeah, and I was looking forward to coming back here because you're not going to understand this movie reference, but I had a nickname ready for you. It was the Big Webskowski. Have you ever seen The Big Lebowski?
No, sir.
All right, go look that up. Have your parents tell you about it. And thanks for coming in, man. Good luck the rest of the way. And obviously, we'll help with your recruiting as much as we can. I thank my guests here, Jeston Webskowski. Thank you for watching. Next week, we'll have another Clovis Wildcat right here with us. Good night, everybody.